Okay, my dear students. So, as I promised you that I will be answering this question which I asked you in the previous video, that what is the reason behind we yani our mouth gets watered or our mouth starts to water when we hear about our favorite dish? What is the reason behind that? Look at the beauty of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This brain which you have stores informations, isn't it? The brain, what is the reason? I'm explaining you the reason. Why do we water? Why do our mouths water when we hear about our favorite dish? The brain stores informations. We have a memory, isn't it? We have a memory in our brain, and we don't know how much TB and GB the memory we have. Okay, the more you practice memorizing, the more you exercise the mental faculties of yourself, the more efficient and more stronger the memory of yours become. Okay, so the brain stores information in the memory. So whenever you eat a food or consume a food and you liked it, this information of liking it, this information of making this food, suppose it's biryani or burger or pizza, it may be different food items. So this information of liking it and making it a favorite dish, making it a favorite dessert, gets stored in your brain in the form of memory. Okay, gets stored in the brain. Now when the next time you hear about this food item or you see this food item, this brain, due to that memory which was stored prior, for the very first time when you tasted that food and it was stored, that is the liking of it and making it that food item as your favorite one was stored in your brain. Okay, and due to that reason, when you hear about that food item, whenever you hear about that food item or you see that food item, the brain sends signals. Okay, brain sends signals to your salivary glands, Okay, I showed you the salivary glands from where the saliva comes. Okay, and what is the use of saliva, I will be explaining you in details in this video, but for instance, you know the meaning of saliva. Okay, so the brain sends signals to the salivary glands to excrete saliva. Excrete what? Saliva. And you know saliva is nothing but water. There what? Saliva is water. Okay, sticky, slimy substance in your mouth. Okay, which you spit. That is saliva. That's very important for digestion of food and making your mouth wet. Okay, so that is why you start to water. We start to water when we hear about our favorite dish or we see our favorite dish. Isn't it interesting? It's very interesting, the scientific reason. So this is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the beauty of the creation. Whatever we like, it gets stored in our brain, and for the next time when we see or hear about that, the brain sends signals to the salivary glands and we start to water. Our mouth starts to water. Why? Because the brain is making you prepare for that food. The brain is telling you before consuming it, that it's the time to taste your favorite dish. Your favorite dish is near somewhere. Try to find it out. Or if you have seen the favorite dish, okay, so the brain likes it, you like it, so that's why the brain is preparing you to have that food. Hope you understood. Now let us move ahead. Okay, my next question is your mouth wet or dry? Definitely the answer will be wet. Our mouth is wet. If it's dry, then we are suffering from some sort of disease. Okay, we have to go to the doctor, but majority of us, we are normal, and alhamdulillah the mouth is wet, and that is a sign of normalcy. Now, do you know Why is it wet? What is the reason behind it being wet? I said you that the salivary glands, because of the saliva, okay, and saliva is secreted from the salivary glands, which I showed you in this diagram. The salivary glands, and do you know how many salivary glands are there? There are 6 salivary glands in our mouth. 6 salivary glands. So glands are nothing but the areas from where the saliva is secreted. Okay. Now I said you that I will be explaining you the function of saliva. What is the use of saliva? Saliva is not only for spitting. Okay. Most of the people have this bad habit of spitting the saliva everywhere. No, this is not a good habit. This is a bad habit. So don't think about it, and you don't have to spit it out at all. Functions. It helps in making boluses. I explained you that while I was explaining you the stages of digestion, I said you that boluses are the balls of the food particles which we make after mastication. Mastication is chewing and grinding the food particles and making it into very small pieces, and after making it into very small pieces, we mix the saliva to these food particles, these food pieces, okay, and we roll it with the help of the tongue to make them into balls so that we can swallow it easily, and these balls are nothing but boluses. So saliva acts as a fluid, acts as a liquid, acts as a medium for making these broken food particles into boluses. The first use you understood. The second use is not only it contains water, it contains some chemicals, some biologically produced, naturally produced chemicals which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, has given us in our body, and they are known as enzymes. These naturally occurring chemicals which are present in the saliva are known as enzymes. And what are enzymes? They help these chemicals, these natural chemicals help in breaking down the food. They help in digesting the food. Okay, they help in digesting the food. That is, helps in digestion. That they help in extracting the energy. That is the main the main function. That is for extracting the energy from this food. Unless and until we don't break the food, we will not get the energy. And what helps in breaking down this food? That is into molecular level. I'm not talking about the macro level, I'm talking about the micro level. Molecular level, breaking this food into the molecular level or on the micro level, enzymes helps, and enzymes are present in the saliva. Okay. Now let us move ahead, my dear students. Now let us discuss about the mechanism of digestion. That is, how the food gets digested. Okay. So after we chew and grind the food, that is after the first stage, that is mastication, we make these small pieces of food into boluses, into balls, so that we can swallow it. Now what happens after that? So these boluses are nothing but partially digested balls of food. Okay, so we have partially digested the food in our mouth. Now the next stage takes place. Now is the turn of the next stage. And what is that? These boluses enters through your oral cavity, which I showed you in the diagram. This oral cavity, the hole which you have, all of us have the hole that is known as the oral cavity. Cavity means hole. Okay. Some people think that cavity means germs. No, this is a misunderstanding. Cavity does not mean germs. Okay, cavity is a hole. Cavity means hole. So these partially digested balls of food, they go into the throat. So we swallow it and it goes into the throat. That is esophagus or windpipe. Okay. Now the throat pushes the food particles, these boluses, these balls of food, partially digested balls of food, into the esophagus, and that is sent to the stomach for the main digestion, for extracting energy from the food. So hope you understood how the food is getting digested in our body. Okay, what are the different steps and the mechanism. In the next video I will be making you understand about taste.